You have probably cooked with fermented fish dozens of times without knowing it. That dark bottle in your fridge door, the one you shake over burgers and stir into chili, is built on anchovies that spent months breaking down in salt. Most people never flip it over, never think about what Worcestershire actually is, because it disappears into food so completely that the bottle just sits there doing quiet work nobody questions. 7 brands on the shelf, same name nobody can spell. So what separates the one that earned its flavor from the one that faked it? If you have ever poured Worcestershire onto a steak and watched it slide off like colored water, that is what the cheapest bottle looks like in action. Great value, under $1 for 10 ounces. I poured a teaspoon onto a white plate and the sauce spread thin, nearly translucent, with particles drifting through it. No body, no cling at all. Here is a test anyone can do at home. Pour a teaspoon onto a white plate and watch the edges. If the sauce holds shape, the ingredients are working. If it runs thin, that is dilution in a bottle. What does the ingredient list tell you? The ingredient list opens with distilled white vinegar, then high fructose corn syrup in the number 2 spot. But what stopped me were consumer reports suggesting great value has quietly moved anchovies out of the main ingredients and into the allergy warning only. The front of the bottle looks the same, but the back tells a different story. The HFCS and sodium load in a sauce that gets poured generously is not doing your blood pressure any favors either. Credit where it is due. At under $1 for bulk cooking, where the sauce vanishes into chili, the thinness matters less. But the next brand comes from a company that owns the most famous Worcestershire recipe in history, and then made a completely different product under its own name. Kraft Heinz owns Leah and HEINZ, the original Worcestershire sauce from 1837. But Kraft Heinz also sells a separate Worcestershire under the Heinz label. When I put the 2 ingredient lists side by side, I understood why they sit on different shelves. The Heinz version is missing tamarind, missing real onion, missing garlic, 3 ingredients that have been in traditional Worcestershire since the beginning. In their place, high fructose corn syrup and caramel coloring, an additive that makes the sauce look darker and more authentic than it is. The label says developed from an old English recipe, and that phrase is doing all the heavy lifting. I saw the same playbook in the mustard aisle, Heinz making its own version while owning the better brand on the same shelf. Same pattern repeating across a different aisle. The HFCS and artificial coloring add nothing your body needs and everything your cardiologist would flag. Fair point. The aroma is genuinely powerful, more intense than most competitors. But aroma without the right ingredients behind it is a cologne, not a sauce. How does the next brand justify charging even more? Annie's replaces anchovies entirely with soy sauce, adds xanthan gum as a thickener, and costs more per ounce than any traditional version on the shelf. The organic certification is real, but the result is a fundamentally different condiment. Organic soy vinegar sauce with spices wearing the Worcestershire name. If you watch the mustard comparison, the pattern will sound familiar. Annie's showed up there too. Organic label, higher price, flavor that did not match the cost. In Worcestershire, the gap is wider because removing the anchovy removes the ingredient that defines the category. Here's where it gets genuinely complicated though. If you avoid fish for allergy reasons, Annie's is one of very few certified organic options available, and that need is real. But if you are reaching for it because organic sounds better, the label is doing the selling, not the sauce. Where you land depends on why the bottle is going into your cart. Every brand so far has either diluted the recipe, cut the traditional ingredients, or replaced the defining component. So is there a Worcestershire that keeps the anchovy, keeps the tamarind, and does not cost $8 for a tiny bottle? The next brand has been doing exactly that since 1941, and what makes it work is a decision most manufacturers were not willing to make. Here's what I kept coming back to. Worcestershire sauce was born by accident in 1835 because 2 pharmacists forgot a barrel of fermented fish in their basement for 18 months. Time turned something terrible into something complex. But most brands on modern shelves have eliminated both, replacing patience with corn syrup and shortcuts that approximate what time used to create for free. So is there a brand that still earns its flavor through actual waiting, through ingredients that need months instead of minutes? Because the next brand has a warmth that builds for several seconds after it hits your tongue. A slow depth the fast-processed versions never get close to. An American company watched Worcestershire sauce from across the Atlantic for over 100 years before making its own version. French's was founded in 1904, built its name on mustard, and did not release a Worcestershire until 1941, more than a century after Leah and Perrins created the category. Sometimes showing up late means learning from everyone else's shortcuts without repeating them. The ingredient list is clean in a way that stands out after reading Great Value and HEINZ. Real anchovies aged in salt the traditional way, no high fructose corn syrup, no caramel coloring. French's is available at every major grocery chain, and they sell it in a 1-gallon container for serious users, which tells you something about how their loyal customers commit to this product. When I tasted it, the flavor was balanced, familiar, and steady. This is probably the Worcestershire most Americans actually imagine when they think of the taste, even if they believe their bottle says Leah and Perrins. If you have been using French's for years and never questioned it, your instinct was right. It does the job honestly. No complexity that unfolds over time, just the core flavor executed correctly. French's is the floor, not the ceiling. If you want depth or layered nuance, this gets you to the starting line and stays there. But what happens when you remove the fish entirely? Not to save money, but to build the flavor from a completely different direction. Everything you have heard about vegan Worcestershire being a compromise is about to be challenged by a mushroom. The Wizards replaces the anchovy with shiitake mushroom powder and tamari, a deeper form of soy sauce than the standard kind. The base is organic apple cider vinegar instead of distilled white, and every ingredient is listed on a short, transparent label. Open the cap and the difference is immediate. Traditional Worcestershire has a faint brine underneath the vinegar, a whisper of the sea. The Wizards smells earthy and warm, almost like a forest floor after rain. Different starting point, same destination. Umami depth that makes food taste more like itself. When I stirred a teaspoon into ground beef before forming patties, the mushroom umami worked exactly the way anchovy would. You do not taste mushroom and you do not taste vinegar. You taste a better burger and you will not know why, unless someone tells you. That vanishing act, where the sauce disappears and leaves behind richness that was not there before, is exactly what a great condiment is supposed to do. I was not expecting to rank a vegan Worcestershire this high, and that surprise earned more of my respect than any single ingredient could. The consistency is thicker than traditional Worcestershire, which makes it better for cooking than cocktails. A Bloody Mary needs the thin, briny pour that only anchovy-based versions deliver. The Wizards belongs in the kitchen, not behind the bar. The next brand pushes the idea of patience further, all the way into a bourbon distillery in Louisville. 6 ingredients aged in barrels that once held Kentucky bourbon, sweetened with a grain that was feeding the South before the Civil War. Bourbon Barrel Foods was founded by Matt Jamie in Louisville, with a philosophy most large manufacturers would never adopt. Slow, small, simple. The production borrows from whiskey making, not food manufacturing. The sauce is blended with Kentucky limestone spring water, sweetened with sorghum instead of industrial molasses, and mellowed in charred oak bourbon barrels. The full ingredient list: spring water, sorghum, apple cider vinegar, naturally brewed soy sauce, tamarind, and spices. No anchovies, fully vegetarian, and somehow richer than most traditional versions that contain fish. There is a warmth from sorghum that molasses never delivers, a faint hint of oak from the barrel, and a round sweetness that lingers without becoming heavy. On scrambled eggs, this was the best pairing in the entire research. In a Bloody Mary, the barrel-aged notes add a smoky depth that makes the cocktail taste like it was designed around this bottle. I ordered mine from Louisville, and I genuinely do not know whether bottles at specialty stores carry the same character, because small batch variation means every run is slightly different. The limitation is real, 100 milliliters for about $8, only available online or at gourmet shops. Which means it cannot be an everyday pour no matter how much you enjoy it. But for the meals where every ingredient should feel intentional, this is the bottle worth reaching for. So, does the brand that started this entire category 200 years ago actually deserve the name it still carries? The Leah and Perrins bottle in your kitchen comes wrapped in craft paper. The version sold in England has no wrapper, and that visual gap is the smallest difference between them. The American version uses distilled white vinegar. The British uses malt vinegar, naturally richer and more complex. The American bottle has roughly 3 times more sugar and 3 times more sodium. The British label says aged 18 months right on the front. The American label does not mention aging at all. Same name, same logo, 2 genuinely different sauces on 2 different continents. And most Americans have no idea the version they grew up with is not the original recipe. The origin story on every bottle, Lord Sandy's bringing a recipe from India, was confirmed as marketing fiction by the company's own archivist. He was never governor of Bengal. The real story is better. 2 pharmacists forgot a barrel in their basement and found it transformed 18 months later. Despite the American version being a different formula, it still uses real anchovies, real tamarind, real onion and garlic. That steep for months, no HFCS, no caramel coloring. The long fermentation creates layers that faster processing cannot replicate. Stir a teaspoon into ground beef before forming your patties. You will not taste Worcestershire in the burger, but the meat will be fuller, deeper, and better. And nobody at the table will know why unless you tell them. That is the mark of a great condiment. It improves everything around it without asking for credit. If you ever spot a UK bottle at a specialty shop, taste it next to your American version. The malt vinegar difference registers in the first second. I found the British version rounder and less sharp, but plenty of people prefer the American edge. This is one where your own palate writes the verdict. If the ingredients list no anchovies and no tamarind, you are buying a different sauce wearing the Worcestershire name. If a parent company sells the original and a cheaper version, the cheaper one always cuts the ingredients you cannot see from the front. That pattern shows up in every aisle. And if the label says aged without saying how long, the aging was measured in weeks, not months. What do you use your Worcestershire sauce for, and has the brand sitting in your fridge for years ever made you wonder what is actually on the back of the bottle? Every shelf in the grocery store has a version of this story, the original and the shortcut side by side under the same name. I am working through them one aisle at a time. 7 dark bottles, same name nobody can pronounce, and the difference lives in what you never see until you flip the bottle over.